Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with Toy Rewind. In this episode I'm winding the clock back 10 years for those keeping count. That's 2005, a time when Fantastic Four movies were good, or maybe at least better. Thinking about it, they were probably just as bad. It's likely a case of pick your poison. No matter what your opinion may be, I can say we are rewinding to a time when at least a Fantastic Four movie got action figures. And also a time when Captain America had yet to graduate to the Avengers. So here I'm serving up Jessica Alba's Sue Storm in the form of the Power Blast Invisible Woman. And not just the one, as we're also going to be taking a look at the clear plastic variant, the Invisible Woman. But before we release them from a decade-old slumber by freeing them from their packages, let's take a look at the packaging back. And 10 years ago, warming pegs, get it? It's Flame On, Human Torch, Power Blast Invisible Woman as we have here, Stomp and Clobber Thing, and Mr. Fantastic with snap-on bendy attachments. These of course were made by our good old friends Toy Biz, yep, them of Marvel Legends making fame, and in fact this Invisible Woman the following year in 2006 gained some Marvel Legends pedigree herself when much of her body was reused for the Marvel Legends Giant Man series Kitty Pryde. Now taking a closer look, and despite a troubling speck embedded in the plastic of her foot like a prehistoric mosquito embedded in amber, the transition from her clear plastic parts to the painted parts has been handled very subtly. Now in the head sculpt I don't see any likeness to Jessica Alba whatsoever, but we have to remember this was an era when Marvel Legends were putting out this Black Cat and this Rogue, so while to my eye not having any resemblance to Jessica Alba, at least it is a pretty face sculpt, and she didn't end up like these two looking like a dog's backside. I should also mention a third variant that I don't have was also available. It's pictured on the right of the screen there. It represents Sue fully visible. I believe that one was the rarest of all of them, but if you have it, don't quit your day job, as by rarest I mean it's probably worth £6 loose as opposed to £5 like the other two. And while the version on the left of the screen here, which I assume is the regular release, being that it's the one pictured on the packaging, a quick eBay search using keywords Invisible Woman in the action figure section of eBay reveals that it's actually a lot less plentiful than the clear plastic variant, which seems a bit odd but may just be as well. That is, if you're in the market for a Marvel Legends Invisible Woman. And I say that as being in clear plastic, she lacks the details that make the other two really movie specific. I think nestled in among some comic based Marvel Legends she wouldn't stand out at all, and I don't just mean that because she's invisible, but she has the 6-inch scale and the articulation to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Speaking of articulation, Toy Biz were always ones to toot their own horn when it comes to that, trumpeting 34 points on the packaging. In practice that translates to rotation of the head, and it's also hinged moving down, but then doesn't really move up. It seems her hair inhibits that. Then at the shoulder her arm rotates, it moves up a real decent amount. Upper arm rotation followed by a double jointed elbow, then at the top of the glove there her lower arm rotates, then at the wrist her hand is hinged moving down and up, plus her fingers are also articulated. She has a diaphragm joint at her boobs there which rotates side to side. She has an ab crunch which moves this far forward, and then limbo's pretty far back, plus she also has waist rotation. At the hips her legs don't move out far to the side, but they move forwards much more, and then they don't really move back. There's upper leg rotation, then a double jointed knee, followed by rotation at the top of the boot there, then at the ankle her feet are hinged moving backwards and forwards. She has an ankle pivot and also toe articulation. And now on to why this Invisible Woman is Power Blast Invisible Woman. It's because of this display base come action feature. We can stand Sue on it, and it's as if she's manifesting her invisible force field around herself. Plus we get these discs that fit inside it. Press the button here. And now for her Power Blast, Sue has you in the line of fire. You know, in making these Toy Rewind videos, I'm often dusting off toy nonsense from the past that today can only be liked through looking back through the lens of nostalgia. This certainly isn't that, but it does make me nostalgic for a time when you got value for money from a toy company that was pushing the limits of what an action figure was, and doing that while treading a line nicely between offering something for both the collector and the kids to play with. Now, I don't want to be singing from a song sheet of back in my day, but if I had a time machine, I'd certainly go back to 2005 and show toys like this some more appreciation. In fact, I don't need a time machine. I'm showing that appreciation right here and now. Anyway, if you missed the previous episode, click the video on the right to catch up. Now some correspondence from that video in which I described the Monster Spider-Man as being original concept and not based on the comics. Nightwing 9797 piped up to correct me by saying that it was actually based on Peter Parker Spider-Man number 24. Well, I hate to sound like a dick, but to correct you back, the release of the action figure actually predates the release of that comic by a number of years, so if one influenced the other, it's the comic artist that was influenced by the action figure. Oh, that's gotta be the Blob. Why? Because nothing can move the Blob. I get asked this a lot, and I know some of you probably picture me living in some kind of toy museum surrounded by every action figure ever, but I don't. It's mostly all squirreled away in drawers, and if I ever do find myself living somewhere where I have the space to have a permanent display, believe me, you will all be the first to see it. Yep, a Kylo Ren review is in the works, and not just a review, it's going to be a Hasbro Black Series versus Disney Store Elite Series action figure comparison. So stay tuned for that, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.